Welcome to Today Matters, our short devotional in the Word of God. My name is Bickley, and yesterday we started a 5-day journey on the topic of the heart. Yesterday we talked about in Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 9 through 10, that the heart is deceitful above all things. And then in Proverbs 4:23, that we need to do everything we can to guard our heart because it determines the course of our life. We also identified the 4 types of hearts in Mark chapter 4. The 4 types of hearts represented in this story are the hard heart, which was the seed that fell upon the path, the shallow heart, which is the seed that fell on rocky soil, and the crowded heart, the seed that fell on thorny ground, and the fruitful heart is the seed that fell on the fertile soil. This morning, I'm going to focus on the first type of heart that we must do everything to avoid. This is the hard heart. Mark 4:4 says, "As he scattered it," which is the seed, "across the field, some of the seed fell on the footpath, and the birds came and ate it up." A hard heart is like trying to plant a seed in your cement driveway. You can put that seed in your driveway, water it, the sun beats down on it, but the seed is not growing. This morning, I want to take a look at 3 areas that identify a hard heart. A hard heart is represented where people might hear something, but they fail to listen. I Googled the difference between hearing versus listening. I found a great definition that says hearing is a passive intake of sound, while listening is an act of intentionally working to comprehend the sounds you hear. Keyword intentionally. A hard heart is passive intake that really doesn't care. The second characteristic of a hard heart is hard-hearted people are quick to speak and slow to listen. You know, we live in a day and age where everyone jumps to conclusions before they even know the other side of the story. James 1:19 says, clearly states to be quick to listen and slow to speak. Before we come to a conclusion, we must get all the facts. If we are always speaking and not listening, it can turn your heart hard towards individuals. And the third characteristics of a hard heart is hard-hearted people are distracted, preoccupied, and skeptical towards God. Do you know anyone like this? Have you been in situations where you have had a hard heart? 2 advices I've received from mentors in dealing with conflict are: 1, put yourself in the other person's position, and 2, ask questions. Putting yourself in a position might bring more clarity to why there is conflict. And by asking questions, you might find out their perspective first. A couple months ago, I went into a meeting hearing one side of the story, and to be honest, was a little frustrated. I had to gather myself and check my heart to see if I had all sides of the story. There's a great verse in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 17 that says, "The first to speak in court sounds right until cross-examination begins." I needed to get both sides of the story before I had to make a judgment. So I went into the meeting, started asking questions, and I came to completely understand all sides of the story from all perspectives and started focusing on the right solution for that problem. If I came into the meeting with a conclusion before I knew all sides, it would have been totally wrong on my part. So what should be our response if we know someone or we are starting to get a hard heart? This is tough because we get into debates with people who doesn't listen, doesn't go anywhere. Our response is to pray for that person. Or if we are feeling a hard heart coming on, step back, gather ourselves, and pray that we don't get a hard heart. This is the first type of heart we are going to try to avoid at all costs. You do not grow as a Christian with this type of heart. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at the second type of heart, which is the shallow heart. We'll see you all tomorrow.